Can you just give us a sense of like how vast the infrastructure development has been? Like, what are they actually building, the scale of it, like over the last sort of 10 years?
Well, you'll be pleased to know that it's 100% electrified.
Nice.
You know, when you go back next time, you'll find that blackouts are less of a thing.
Good.
And I think, you know, things like 100 new airports over the last 10 years, road building at average 35 kilometers a day, railway, new routes that have been put in place to accentuate trade. You know, in the old days, and I'm talking 20 years ago, to ship something from the west of India to get it to the east, you'd have to go through Europe because the logistical, the logistical cost of India was one of the highest in the world, right? So you had several stopping points for trucks, not great roads to travel short distances, tolls from state to state, taxes, all these things made business in India difficult. So if you think about it, a neighborhood business, as in operating in a small community, was able to compete with a pan-India business because they had that local demand economics. But now scale is playing out. And, you know, when scale happens, you get businesses that become huge through operating across, you know, this massive demand structure that exists in India. The other thing is, the important aspects is everyone has a national ID card. So if you think about it, 1.4 billion people with a national ID card linked to their phone, linked to their bank account, all these things that used to be slippages where there was a middleman that would take some money as part of that process of getting subsidies into bank accounts. People didn't have bank accounts. You know, we all hear horror stories of how Indians don't have toilets and, you know, things like that. All these things are changing and evolving. And I think you want to participate in the growth part, not after it's mature. So that's what we tell investors, you know, buying into something where the story's already largely played out is going to give you a different return profile to participating in that change.
Yeah.
I love how when you were listing stuff earlier, you just listed, like, you just threw it out like 100 new airports in 10 years. I just looked up.
How many airports do we have?
I just looked up. So the Western Sydney Airport started build in 2018, and it's scheduled to be finished in the end of 2026. So Australia's got one new airport in 8 years. India's doing 110.
Well, there's always that thing, right? Like everyone says, China, things get done, because it's a command economy. But I think what India has benefited from is almost a democracy with a dictator, you know, now where things are getting done. You know, through majority rule, you're able to execute more things on a national scale, whereas previously the states would fight. There was a lot of red tape. The graft of getting business done was costly. But now you've got Walmart, Tesla, Amazon, you know, all these companies going and establishing footholds in India. That's telling you that that cost of doing business is reducing.
I mean, also some pretty great Indian startups in their own right, like Flipkart and stuff like that. It's not just overseas companies coming in.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, the right way to play it, like Walmart did, is just take a stake in Flipkart. Rather than to go and establish your own networks. In India, knowing distribution and knowing, you know, how to gain access to large numbers of people is the key. You know, when I went there on a trip, recently there's a company called Swiggy. So Swiggy is like an Uber Eats. It's listed last year on the stock markets. It basically can guarantee you that it will get you a product within 10 minutes. This is in India.
Wow.
Right? And it costs about $1.
Whoa.
So, you know, when I was over there with my daughters, they were just ordering Gatorade, Kit Kat, whatever, everything one item at a time because it was so efficient. So I think this whole progress with technology underpinning it, a different format of technology, means that growth rate and productivity can really be, exactly.
I mean, on that point, one thing that we've been fascinated by sort of reading from afar is how, I guess, like for a lot of Indians for a long time, they were underbanked and then they weren't connected to technology. And then we've seen the proliferation of cheap smartphones, particularly like the Reliance Jio smartphones, and what that's meant for, I guess, getting Indians connected. Can you tell us a bit about how that story has played out on the ground, like what changes that's led to?
Yeah, that's significant. India is the cheapest country in the world for data. It's about 9 cents a gigabyte.
Wow.
Which if you look at comparisons to the rest of the world, is very cheap. That's allowing a lot of startups, a lot of tech-enabled businesses, communication businesses to happen. There's simple businesses that can send an SMS text operating out of India because the cost of, that sort of structure is much lower in India. So I think, productivity is enhanced through this low cost of data. Reliance Jio came out in 2016, gave everyone zero cost data. They onboarded a small 350 million subscribers over the next few years. And now, to some degree that destroyed the mobile telephony industry because obviously the players can't make money. So the way to invest in India is sit on these companies where perhaps there's consolidation occurring in industries. And then when someone starts to make a profit, you invest in the large market share player, because when the non-profitable firms start to put their prices up, the largest market share player will take away the lion's share of the profits, and you get a better valuation if you do it that way.
So we're entering a more fractured global economy at the moment, particularly with what's going on with the US and China relationship. How is India positioning itself at the moment with regards to, I guess, the global shift in supply chains and somewhat world order?
Yeah, so India in financial year ended 25, which is March year end in India, exported 825 billion US of goods. So about 400 billion goods, 425 billion services. And services was half IT services. As we know, Indians are good at that. So I think when you look at global trade, that's 33 trillion. India's minuscule when it comes to global trade. So there's a real opportunity to step up and win share on a global front. And there's certain so what's going to work going forward? Quality products at the lowest cost. That is really where you're going to win share. You've got the Vietnam, Philippines and Indonesia's at the pure labor cost advantage end. You've got China wanting to move upwards towards the high tech and consumption. They really want to instigate consumption, become an America of sorts. And then India is going to fill that middle space of going up the value chain, but being the lowest cost producer in areas like pharmaceuticals. So, that's an industry we really love in our fund because we can see that there's no competitor for producing generic pharma as the world has a greater and greater demand for drugs to India.